Hi there, it's Nicole for Simon Says Stamp with a card showcasing the March 2016 card kit. I have used the stamps, cardstock, pattern paper, and sequins from the kit for this fun watercolored Peeps card here today. I'm going to start out by using a powder tool on some watercolor cardstock. And then I'm going to be using the medium-sized Peep outline stamp on this, and I'm going to stamp it a whole bunch of times with Versamark ink and heat emboss the images with white embossing powder. The great thing about this stamp set, you can kind of see it there in the over to the right. There are 3 sizes of the Peeps, the small, medium, and large, and there is the solid and outline image for each of those sizes. So you can use them together, you can use each individually. It just really depends on what kind of look you're going for. I am only going to use the outline here today because I am going to be watercoloring each of these images with distress inks. The great thing about the embossing is it kind of creates a well for the watercolor, so it helps hold that color inside of the stamped lines. I am using distress inks just pressed on an acrylic block, and then I'm using kind of a bigger bullet paintbrush to pick up the color with a little bit of water and then simply paint inside of the embossed lines. The purple is milled lavender. The green here is going to be the Twisted Citron ink. I am only using 1 color per bunny. I'm not doing any shading with like 2 similar or 2 shades of green or anything like that. I am just using 1 simple color. I like to lay down the base color, and then you can always go back in, pick up a little additional color and maybe just kind of splotch it around a little bit. And that's going to give you some great variation in the color within each of these Peeps bunnies. The orange is Spiced Marmalade. The pink I'm using is Picked Raspberry. I love how you can see the bunnies kind of come alive once you lay down that color. I'm going to go ahead and finish adding color to all the rest of these bunnies. The blue is Peacock Feathers. I tried to keep the colors very fresh and spring-like. Go ahead and add a few of the dots of that darker color. These dry really quickly. However, if you want to speed it up more, you can always hit it with a heat tool if you want to. Make sure they are all the way dry before you use the coordinating die to die cut them. The yellow is the Squeezed Lemonade, and it is this is a great yellow. It shows up really well. I'll go ahead and use that medium-sized bunny die that comes with the card kit to die cut all of my bunnies. I'm using a little Post-it tape to hold that in place and then just simply running it through 12 times. I did take a dry paper towel and go over the top of all of the embossing just to make sure that if there was any ink sitting on top of that embossing, I got it off. And then I took the Wink of Stella clear glitter brush pen over the top of each of the Peeps bunnies to give them that sugared look like the actual candy. Next, I'm going to take a stitched rectangle die and die cut one of the pattern papers. This is going to be the inside panel on my framed up card. Then I'm going to take some of the yellow cardstock from the kit, and using both the largest and the next largest stitched rectangle dies, I'm going to create a frame. So one of these rectangles is the exact same one I used to die cut that pattern paper, and then the one that is the next size bigger. I'm simply going to tape those in place on my yellow cardstock, run those through my machine, and it's going to leave me with a great stitched frame. The great thing about all these stitched frames dies from Simon Says Stamp is they have the stitching on both sides of the line, so you get that great detail. Go ahead and pull off my Post-it tape and pop out that frame. I can save the inside piece for another project. I'm going to be using that pattern paper here for my card. I'm going to go ahead and lay out my Peeps bunnies kind of how I think I want them to look on my card design. I'm going to have them scattered throughout. Then I'm going to take a piece of vellum for my greeting and take one of the greetings from the stamp set. Again, use my powder tool on the vellum first, and then stamp the Great Greeting from the stamp set on the vellum using Versamark ink. And I'm going to heat emboss this with white embossing powder. Now what I did was I made sure my heat tool was really good and hot before I took it to the paper, and then I heated it from the back side, and then I'm going to die cut it with a stitched circle frame or stitched circle die from Simon Says Stamp. That way you can see through the greeting a little bit to what is behind, and that's going to just sit there along the bottom edge of that center panel. I'm going to lay out those Peeps bunnies now that I have my greeting, and that's going to give me a good guideline for where I want everything to go, and then I'm simply going to just kind of pick them up, add adhesive, and pop them right back down in place. So I'm going to have them going kind of this way and that all over the panel. They are sticking off the edge a little bit. Once I have all of these in place, I am going to just take my scissors and trim off any of that excess. So I'll go around all 4 sides and just snip off any of that extra. Those little pieces work great if you need to fill in along the edge anywhere. I went ahead and just used an extra bunny since I had a couple of extra ones from all of those that I made. I'm going to take a glue pin and add little dabs of glue behind the embossing on the greeting, and then pop my vellum greeting there along the bottom edge. I placed something heavy on it to hold it down while the glue dried, and then I'm just going to trim off that excess vellum. I need to add a few more dabs of glue along the edges, I noticed. Now to hold the frame and that center piece together, I decided to use some foam adhesive because I wanted this whole panel to sit up a little bit. And the foam adhesive works great to not only hold those 2 pieces together, but give that dimension. So I'm just going to put pieces or strips of foam adhesive all along the back, pull off all that backing paper, and then pop that on the front of a Simon Says Stamp side fold card base. Then I'm going to take some of the sunshine sequins included in the card kit and pop those all over my card design, attaching them with some Thermoweb bling glue dots. I love these glue dots for attaching things like sequins to cards. And I am going to do a nice scattering of all kinds of different sizes of the sequins. I'm going to layer some of the smaller ones on the larger ones until I get it kind of all filled out. And that is going to finish off this Easter themed Peep Bunny card design. Thanks for watching this video showcasing the Simon Says Stamp 2016 card kit. The supplies I've used are listed and linked below the video on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos you might be interested in. Please subscribe for weekly card making and stamping videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.